I spent the last few days in Nashville. Jennifer's sister, um, Jennifer's sister lives in Nashville with her husband and 7-year-old daughter, and they just had a brand new baby, Phineas, who was actually born the same day that Jennifer passed away. Um, he was born. I told Jennifer, and she passed away, so she was waiting on Finn to be born, and it's a little bittersweet because it's such a happy thing with the baby being born, and such a sad thing with Jen passing away an hour and a half later. Um, and we lived in an RV for the last 6 or 8 months of our time together. Jen and I did. So I brought the RV down. I still have it, and so I thought I'd use it. And it's a nice RV. It's used. We bought a used one. It was about the price of a car, and so financing it was cheaper than paying rent in an apartment. About $1,000 cheaper a month while we were down there. So we got some assistance with it as well. So this has been just kind of a sad and awesome week all at the same time. Bittersweet. I don't know how else to say it. And I know maybe that's a cliche term, but it has been bitter and it has been sweet. And I'll go over the bitter parts and I'll go over the sweet parts. The bitter parts are that when we drove from Houston, from MD Anderson to Ohio on the 29th of April, and the 28th is when the doctor said, get home as quickly as you can. I was so glad we had this RV because I was able to get her home in comfort. And her decline was so rapid that I don't think she could have made it in a car, being seated for several hours. She could come back here, she could lay down, she could put the recliners out, and we have these little recliners here that came with the RV. And she was in relative comfort on the way back up, and I'm so glad about that because it's a long trip from Houston, Texas to Columbus, Ohio, and along the way we stopped here in Nashville to see her sister and brother-in-law and niece, and her sister was of course days away from having a baby. We got here on Jennifer's birthday, which was the 1st of May, and we celebrated even though she was already in very rapid decline at that point. She was aware enough to enjoy her company of her family, and we're just glad that she could make it to her birthday. And so we got back home on the 3rd of May, and we left the RV at her dad's farm. Her dad has a cattle farm in Ohio, and he had a barn and stuff, and he put it in the barn. And so when I got into the RV last week to come down here, everything was exactly where she left it. Her clothes were all where they left it. Her Kleenexes, because she had real bad drainage from the surgery, because they removed all of her sinuses underneath her in her eye and stuff. And also all of her used Kleenexes were in here in a trash can, and her medicine and her nightly stuff, her lotions that she used for her face, and the stuff that she take at nighttime, and that just, it was all just here. And so it was really hard to be in the RV without her, because it's harder in some ways than the house, because we were only at the house. She passed away on the 7th of May, so we were only in the house for like 3 days before she died. And so we hadn't been there in 2 years, and but here is where we lived. We lived here for 6 months, 8 months, whatever it was. I'm even looking over at the bed right now, and I see her pillow and her pillowcase. She had to use these like shiny hypoallergenic pillowcases, so it was just it was hard. I had to clean the RV. It was a total train wreck from our travels, and I didn't have a chance to do it, and I didn't come back out to see it maybe once or twice just to get a couple things that were necessary. And so I'm keeping all of her clothes and stuff like that, but the half-used lotions and the old medicine and stuff, I'm throwing those things out. But it's hard, and I got it really nice and spick and span here, and it looks really nice. I think she would have been proud. I swept the floors and mopped and cleaned the bathrooms, and I tried to do it the way that she would have wanted me to do it because she was particular about those things, and which is fine. That was hard though. I cried a lot. I cried all day on Wednesday last week. And then Wednesday evening, I went over to her sister's house and we cried the whole night. Her daughter, her husband. I got to meet the baby. The baby is amazing. He's amazing, perfect little boy, and they have a perfect little girl too, who's just turned 7, and that's, it's just really healing for us. And that was the sweet part. Is while we cried a lot, and I was so tired from crying the next day. I had to stay here. I just kind of stayed in the RV and went down to the swimming pool in the RV park and just kind of chilled out for the day. And but it was so healing. And then her other brother and sister came down. Jen's other brother and sister and nephew came down, and we all spent the day together on Saturday, and it was just a fantastic. We saw each other Friday night and Saturday. It was just so wonderful, and it was the weirdest thing. It felt like Jen. It just felt normal and natural. Like, they're so great. They allowed me to be part of the family, and they still allow me to be part of the family. Everybody's treated me so well in the family. This is really lovely. Just very grateful for them, and it felt like Jen was with us. Like, it just felt like she was there. Like, I can't describe it. She wasn't there, obviously, but if she was there, like, she just was there. Like, her spirit was there. Right? I'm not talking about something woo-woo here, although I'm not putting it past something like that happening. What I am talking about is it just felt like she was there. I don't know how else to describe it. So it's been an interesting week. It's been a great week. Been a great trip. I miss her a lot, of course. But we're 2.5 months, almost 3 months into this now. It's the 20th of July, so we're not quite. We're about 2.5 months right now. Just time is flying. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, and I don't have to figure that out right now. I'm not going to go back to work until September, so 2 months from now, middle of September. I'm going to give myself a full 3 months of just sitting with the grief. And that's something I am thinking about, what I'm supposed to do, like my purpose. And I'll cover that in another video, I think. But I think it's important to talk about this trip, and like the important part of it is my philosophy this whole time. And I've grieved 2 or 3 other big times in my life. When we moved to Texas when I was 12, and I didn't know how to grieve then. When my dad passed away when I was 21. When I left the priesthood in 2018, I had to grieve that. This is something. This is totally different. The intensity is 1,000 times more than any of those other 3 things. I had more in my dog, too. I had a dog that was very special to me. Died in 2018 as well. But my philosophy is to sit in the grief and to befriend it. Befriending my grief. I mean, what I mean by that is, how is this going to make me a better person? How is the grief going to make me a better person? And, when I put that frame around it, it's not so hard to endure. I mean, it's hard to endure, but it's not crushing. So that's it. I'm not going to edit any of this. I'm just going to throw it up there on YouTube right now. So, thanks everybody. Keep wondering.